There should be no more question. He's a locked and loaded minimum RB2 for you. By the end of this year, he's going to be an RB1, and people are going to stop hating.
Right here.
Sunday, or the Monday night football game, we have the Green Bay Packers hosting the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football, hosted on ESPN. Green Bay, 10.5-point favorites in a 48.5-point over-under. So Detroit, again, being disrespected via Vegas here. We start on the Detroit side of the ball. Also, I'll start with you because I had Goff in a start-sit column on the site this week as a sit, and last week he was a sit in that column, but he posted the number 3 QB numbers last week. We streaming him at all here. We saw Jameis go off against Green Bay.
I mean, it is, if we look at all of the metrics and the logic that you'd apply for Jared Goff right now, I don't know how you can walk away and say that he's not a streaming option. I'm not saying he's a streamable success yet. We're going to have to see what happens, and I know that's a really wishy-washy take, but what we do know is that Goff is the number 3 quarterback in the NFL who just faced a decent defense in San Francisco, we expect. So he's absolutely streamable throughout the season. He's a number 3 quarterback right now, but do I think he's going to be consistent? I don't know how he could be consistent with the lack of weapons Detroit has, along with the pedigree of the organization and the new coaching system. It just doesn't make for a consistent outlook. But any given Sunday is real. And Goff took a team to the Super Bowl, and I think he's being undervalued on a weekly basis. This team is going up against a disgruntled Green Bay team that stacks middle of the road in terms of pass defense. I don't hate it, to be honest. In 2 quarterback leagues, I kind of love it. I probably don't think this is the best start in standard-ish leagues. There's probably somebody else out there that's better than Jared Goff, but I get Derek Carr vibes right now from Jared Goff, even going back the last couple of years where Jared Goff didn't have great weapons. He was always kind of a pedestrian quarterback that we expected more from early in his career, but then still gets you a few games every season where, you know, he's pushing 40-plus fantasy points. That's what I expect for Jared Goff moving forward. It's going to be difficult to nail down, but he's going to win you some weeks when you picked him up off the waiver wire, for sure.
We look at some of those weapons that Goff has, and outside of TJ Hockenson as pass catchers, I don't really see much. I don't want any part of this wide receiver by committee mess that's in Detroit right now. All 5 wide receivers last week had 2 or more catches. There's no favorite here, other than the backs and Hockenson. You know, look at Hockenson, second only to Darren Waller in targets. He got 3 more than any other tight end last week, went 8 of 11 for 97 yards and a touchdown, also got a 2-point conversion. Hockenson looking like the guy I was writing about in my bromance, and I was talking about as the guy you want to target. He's looking good right now, at least his target volume. I want to talk to Johnny about the running backs, right? Because we may see something here where both are going to be viable going forward, and for sure DeAndre Swift used through the passing attack.
Yeah, so this is going to be a heavily involved running attack for the Detroit Lions all year long. I'll touch on Jamaal Williams really quick. I do think that you can play him in this game. I think that they're going, the way you attack Green Bay is not through passing. It's through the run game. And so I do believe that Jamaal Williams in a revenge game. Can we get a revenge game on a Monday night? He did see 18 total touches in week 1, which is definitely worthy of at least a flex play for you with the upside. He did average 6 yards per carry, which was nice because we did see him, come in with Green Bay, and he actually had a nice yards per carry, but never to that extent. So very nice seeing that, but I got to touch. Can we just, I am so last week, DeAndre Swift goes off and produces and hopefully put a lot of haters and doubters to bed. But if not, 22 total touches in that game. I think it's going to continue because this Detroit Lions team is down. And who do you want in that offense? You want the pass catching guy. And Swift had 11 receptions or 11 targets. And then can we just stop doubting DeAndre Swift, please? I'm just asking. Can we please stop doubting? This guy, this is how real this is and how people's perceptions versus reality is so off. DeAndre Swift, this is reality. He has only scored single-digit fantasy points in 3 of his games as a professional running back in half-point PPR. There should be no more question. He's a locked and loaded minimum RB2 for you. By the end of this year, he's going to be an RB1, and people are going to stop hating. Stop hating on my boy DeAndre Swift.
I love it. Love the fervor. Love the energy here. And I would love if Whisper Nation could give us a like and a subscribe and help us grow the channel. We are trying to get to over 2,000 subscribers on YouTube by the time we rock and roll into week 3. So please help us hit that goal and continue to help us grow the family, the nation, Whisper Nation. As we move on to the Green Bay Packers, Austin, this is our Packers, and it was a brutal week for us to watch. And we've got to ask if this rushing attack at Aaron Jones, who a lot of us were taking in the first round, could get a take 2 here.
Yeah, you should have taken him in the first round. He's a phenomenal running back. He's an elite talent who's been a top 5 the last 2 seasons. But 9 total carries last week between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Jameis Winston, as we mentioned earlier in the program, had nearly 40 fantasy points on under 150 passing yards. I can't ever remember a situation like this. And Aaron Rodgers right now looks like he's a part of the Shameless cast. Look, I'm not concerned season long, but I am paying close attention. I have to chalk this game up as a wash and just start it over. Go with your preseason predictions on this one. Minus Aaron Rodgers for me. I've got him in a couple of leagues. I'm going to pause on him. But staying with the halfback situation, Aaron Jones, we mentioned how great of a talent that he is. The Packers are going to bounce back. How high they'll bounce, I'm not totally sure. I'm obviously hoping for the best, but the alternative is just too haunting for this Packers fan. So we'll see what happens, man. I think they'll bounce back. I don't know how they can't not bounce back, but there's also a world where Aaron Rodgers is pulling something really diabolical. I don't want to go down that conspiracy theory. I think Aaron Jones is going to be just fine. I think A.J. Dillon will be all right too.
Yeah, I have to skim over that conspiracy theory because we could really get divulged here. I want to talk about the fact, Johnny, that we talked about this offense could regress. It was very efficient last year. We knew that. We knew Rodgers could have a chance at regressing. But this kind of regression in week 1, I mean, if this is the case, we don't want any part of this. What I do want to ask is the secondary weapons. We think that Davante Adams is going to be just fine. We think that Aaron Rodgers gets right. We think that, as Austin said, Aaron Jones gets right. But outside of Davante Adams in this passing attack, we were kind of excited about guys like Robert Tonyan. And now, again, I don't even want to say it, but MVS is working his way onto the radar. How do you see the secondary options in this Detroit matchup?
Well, MVS actually led this team in targets last week with 8 targets. I do think that there's a lot of upside with MVS. You know, we got a lot of hype in the offseason or in the training camp as well. It translated over to 8 targets. Definitely keep that monitored. I do think he's the wide receiver 2 there for Green Bay. As far as Tonyan, I know last week was a disappointing week, but even in a terrible, game scripting game, he did still see 4 targets. I want to note that Kittle against this Detroit Lions defense got 78 receiving yards on only 5 targets last week against, again, the same defense. So I'm willing to throw Tonyan out there again this week if you are weary about it. I think this is a major bounce back week on a Monday night, what spells all of that and feeds into Rodgers, excitement and showing the world that he still has it than that. So I do think that you can roll with Bobby T, Penny Fool this weekend.
Oh, Johnny's not going to let that one die, but we'll move on. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers' death can be proclaimed just yet. QB Aaron Rodgers has started 21 games against Detroit and has helped guide the Packers to a 16-5 record in those contests. He's thrown for 43 touchdowns compared to just 8 interceptions against Detroit. That's 104.8 passer rating. He's posted 100-plus passer rating in 13 games against the Lions in his career of those games we talked about, so 13 out of 21. Has 20 or more fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 starts against Detroit. Usually pretty good after a blowout loss. We could look to just last year when he lost to Tampa Bay and scored only 5 points. He came back against Houston, tossed 4 tutties, and in standard scoring, got 27 fantasy points. So I think your confidence should be very high in Aaron Rodgers coming into this week. I think you should be very locked and loaded into Rodgers in your lineup. And if we're here on Tuesday telling you, that Rodgers looked like the shameless class player again, then I would be a little bit panicked. But I think Detroit is the perfect get-right situation for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Well, if you could help us out by hitting that like and subscribe, we are on our way out. That does it for us. For Johnny Game Time Hicks, for Austin Sear, I am Big Travie, and we are the Fantasy Whisperers, and we're out of here. Peace.
Bye.
Right here.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. If you still have a lot to say about fantasy football, maybe you want to give Johnny a little bit of crap for his take today, then go on over to our Discord channel and join the conversation there. Click the link in the description below. And if you still want more content, check out one of these videos.
Homie, don't you hear the whispers?